share na. Uh, Good evening. I hope everyone had a good dinner. I know, ako kakakain ko lang din. So I had several comments from based on the previous na episode ng Space Peak. Okay, so thank you for your feedback. It seems na last time medyo magulo yung sound. So, this time, inalis ko na yung electric fan. Okay, dami nag-comment na yung electric fan daw maingay. Okay, so ngayon, medyo mas wala ng electric fan. So, okay lang kahit na medyo mainit. Okay. So, uh, okay. Teka lang ha. Okay. So, as I posted a couple of days ago, I hope if there's any problem with the video or audio, uh, just let me know para pwede kong ayusin. Hopefully, the sound is not that bad compared to last time. Okay. So, okay. So, as I posted a couple of days ago, the topic for this week's episode of Space Peak is on why developing countries aim for a space program. Okay, so like tayo sa Pilipinas, bakit natin kailangan magkaroon ng space program, di ba? But before I go into that, I'll just share one discussion that I had with Adrian, okay, Adrian Salces, who's one of the students we sent to Japan for the training in the satellite technology. So, nagtanong kasi siya kahapon kung yung space with regards to the one of the space treaties, which is the registration convention, kung yung space agency ba daw ay kasi meron tayong five major international space treaties, and one of them is what we call the registration convention, which was created in 19 let me check. This was in 1975, but it entered into force in 1976. So basically, what the registration convention says is any objects that are launched in space has to be registered with the United Nations. Okay. Unfortunately for the Philippines, we did not ratify this treaty. Okay. Although sumusunod naman tayo because if you look at the registration convention or the archive sa United Nations, naka-register doon yung satellites natin, even the previous Agila satellite. Okay? And well, basically, ang function naman talaga ng space agency, part of it is regulatory kasi pag nag-launch kasi ng object sa space, this is the responsibility of the launching state. So that means whether it's a private company or a university or a government agency na maglo-launch ng object na yon, whether satellite or rocket, this is going to be the responsibility of the Republic of the Philippines. So kailangan aware ngayon yung sandali. Nagro-rock yung table. Okay. Kailangan aware ngayon at may authorization coming from the launching state or from the state itself, from the government of the Philippines na yes, pinapayagan namin na i-launch tong object na to or i-launch tong satellite na to. Okay, so yes, that's so part of the function talaga of the space agency is more on the regulatory. Okay, so yun. I think once we have the space agency, one of the very first things that we should do is to have that space treaty, the registration convention, as well as the outer space treaty ratified. So ang ratification kasi ng international space treaties through the Senate yon. Okay, so Senate yung ratify, no? So it's a law. So it takes some time to do that, pero kailangan gawin 'yon for us to become a responsible member of the international space community. Okay. Sandali lang ha. So if you have comments, questions, just post na lang kayo, or I'm trying to man both the cellphone and the laptop. Hopefully hindi siya magka-problema. Okay. Okay, so going back to the topic that we have for today, why do developing countries such as the Philippines aim to have a space program? Okay, most of the time when we think of space programs, we think of, let's say, of course, we have the original players. You have Russia, you have U.S., the original competitors in the space race in the 1950s, 1960s, and 1970s. Excuse me. So during that time, of course, it was a whole different world back then. It was the time of the Cold War, and yung itong dalawang bansang to, nagko-compete ngayon kasi uh, they want to gain the upper hand or the advantage. So the original reason, one of the original reason for having the space race is actually for military superiority. Some countries would want to be more superior to others when it comes to that. Kasi from space, you can now do a lot of things. You can view the surface of the Earth. You can cover the whole, I think, as much as 1/3 of the Earth in terms of communications capability. So malaking bagay or malaking factor yon pagdating sa pagkakaroon ng or sa capabilities ng isang bansa. And in the 1970s, medyo nag-shift na yun eh. We had the moon landing in 1969, 1970s, we saw a sudden shift in terms of why these two major countries run their space program. Okay, so for them, part of it is actually not because patapos na yung Cold War, but the biggest factor, well, I think one of the biggest factor is economics. It became a little bit, or more, they realized that these two countries realized that it's mas mahirap or mas magastos na they would run their space program on their own, or they would compete with each other. So that's why one of the very first cooperation missions between Russia and US was yung Apollo-Soyuz docking. And from then on, it shifted the reason why we have why we developed the space program. It's more for greater national benefit or greater benefit to humanity. Pero syempre hindi rin nawawala yung factor ng military aspect, or because let's face it, the reality is space is a dual use technology. Okay? So meron siyang advantages or meron siyang benefits sa civilians sector, meron din siyang benefits sa military sector or sa defense sector. Now, there was a study in 2011, okay, on, we call it the space economy at a glance. Okay, so this is a study released by the OECD every few years. The first one was in 2007, and then nagkaroon tayo ng 2011, and then ng 2014. I think wala pa yatang kapalit or wala pang bagong version nun. So, when you look at the 2011 space economy at a glance, there's one chapter there on defining the socio-economic impacts of space programs. So, dito, naka-outline kung ano-ano ba yung mga reason kung bakit yung mga iba't ibang bansa nagkakaroon ng space program. Okay? So, ang reason naman for having a space program, hindi naman siya fixed na, let's say, magkaroon tayo ng space program right now. The reason why we're doing it right now is not going to be the same reason why we're going to do it in the, let's say, 10 years, 20 years down the line. Okay? Most of the time, developing countries, when you say developing countries, of course, kasama dito yung Pilipinas, yung formerly tinatawag natin na third world countries. Okay? So, we're not talking about yung mga advanced countries na may space programs like US, Russia, Japan, European Union. Okay? So, we're talking more of small emerging countries like the Philippines, other countries in the ASEAN, Indonesia, Thailand, Malaysia, and even other countries in Africa. Okay? So, bakit I mean, given all the kinds of problems that itong mga bansang to, or mga bansa na, like yung sa bansa natin na nagfe-face ng, we have socio-economic problems, we have problems in poverty, inequality, and so on. Why venture in having a space program? Okay, so just to give a background, okay, sorry, I have to adjust yung headset ko. Just to give a background, in Southeast Asia, actually, we're a little bit behind na in terms of having a space program. I think we're the only major Southeast Asian country na walang space agency. Okay, so of course, Indonesia has LAPAN, which is its own space agency. Malaysia has its Angkasa. In Thailand, merong GISDA and NARIT, which handles two different aspects of space. In Vietnam, they have VNSC and yung STC. And in Singapore, although wala sila space agency, they're driven by the EDB and the Austin. It's more on the space technology industry. Okay? So tayo sa Pilipinas, wala pa tayong ganon. Okay? So why and going on the another part of the globe, even countries like Nigeria, for example, they have their own space agency. They call it the National Space Research Development Agency, which they started, I think, early 2000 pa. So it shows na in the current paradigm or in the current times, hindi na lang major space players yung nandun. Okay? Marami na ring small emerging space actors or space, call it space emerging countries na nagve-venture into this area. Okay? Of course, India is there, China is there. Ito yung mga upcoming stars of the space program. Okay? Of the space community, especially India right now, na medyo they're a hot topic right now because of their recent achievements that they have done on their own. Okay. So, when you look at the reason why developing countries, aim to have a space program, for the first year of its existence, usually dalawa yung major reason the primary reason why they do it. Number one is for prestige, okay? So, that's the first reason. Kasi malaking bagay naman talaga pag nagkaroon ng space program. Okay, 'di ba? Parang wow, we have our own space program. We have our own NASA. Nasasabihin natin na we're now a space we're now part of the space age. Okay? So that's one, I think, one of the main reasons why countries want to do it. Developing countries want to do it for the prestige factor. And yung pangalawang reason, the second reason is for developing dedicated military technologies. As I said, space is, the reality is space is a dual-use technology. It has military aspect, it has military benefits, it has civilian benefits. Okay, so that's why in most space programs, malakas yung support coming from the defense sector. Kasi the defense sector knows na malaki yung magiging benefit nila dito. Even in communications alone and in surveillance lang, malaking bagay na yung magkaroon ng capability to, we have our own eye in the sky, sabi nga, or we have our own eyes and ears in the sky. Okay? Pero, over time, this changes, especially after the first few years, nagbabago na yung reason kung bakit nagkakaroon ng space program. So, after, let's say, 5 years down the line, ang nagiging focus naman ngayon ng countries when it comes to having a space program is to develop the expertise for specific technology, specific application, or a specific part of science. And at the same time, developing a broad range of space applications. Okay, so medyo bumababa na yung aspect ng prestige. Okay, it's not as crucial or it's not as critical anymore. Of course, the military aspect is still there. Medyo mataas pa rin. Pero kumbaga, this now at 5 years down the line after having a space program, most countries would want to show that their space program can be translated to something that is beneficial to their citizens or to society. Okay? So dito ngayon papasok yung iba't ibang applications like having good communications network, having ability to monitor agriculture or environmental resources. For us in the Philippines, our ability to monitor our territorial waters. I know medyo hot and contested issue ngayon ng ang maritime security natin because of what's happening not just in the West Philippine Sea but also in what's happening on the other side in sa Benham Rise natin. Okay? So, yun yung nagiging focus ngayon. So, it's more for the social and economic benefit for the country na magkaroon ng yung mga applications na bring in ng isang space program. And then, further down the line, let's say 10 years after the start of having a space program, medyo nag-iiba na rin or nag-shift na rin yung reason bakit nagkakaroon ng space program. So, dito, ang nagiging focus na ngayon is developing and sustaining a skilled workforce. So, having a sustainable pool of people working in whether it's in the government agency or a research institution or in the industry, we want to have, countries would want to be assured na merong tao lagi na capable of doing these kinds of space-related activities. Okay? And then, the another compelling reason is having an independent access to space na. So dito papasok ngayon yung having our own satellites, our own, and even the capability to launch satellites into space. Pero hindi naman lahat ng bansa may kaya mag-develop ng ganong capabilities. It's more of having our own assets in space for our country's own benefit. Okay, so nandyan papasok ngayon having a geostationary telecommunication satellite, having multiple, not just one, but multiple Earth observation satellite in various wavelengths, optical wavelength, in radar wavelength, and so on and so forth. When we talk about space programs kasi, most of the time ang nakikita rin natin is yung immediate impact. Okay? We call it the temporary impacts. So, let's say having a new satellite. Wow, malaking bagay yon. Or in some cases, having an astronaut or sending an astronaut, the first Filipino astronaut into space. So, malaking impact nun or malaking wow factor for the general public yung pagkakaroon ng isang astronaut. Okay? Pero ang mas importante kasi is yung tinatawag natin mga enduring impacts. Ito yung mga long-term impacts kung saan yung space is nagko-contribute siya not just to R&D or research and development but also in other areas like for example having new commercial activities. Okay? So nagkakaroon tayo ng mga bagong mass market. For example, yung GPS natin, di ba? Although GPS was originally used still being used for positioning, knowing where we are on Earth, nagkaroon siya ng bagong market na ngayon, yung car navigation systems, yung mga nasa kotse ngayon, or if you use yung Waze or Google Maps, to navigate where you are, or if you're stuck in traffic somewhere in Manila, that's part of the use of new mass market product of space technology. And then there are also products going to outside of outside of the space sector. For example, medical imageries and so on. So yung mga CT scan natin, these were originally developed for space pero ngayon ginagamit na sa medical field. Also, another enduring impact is yung productivity and efficiency gains in other sectors. So, for example, in agriculture alone, having space capabilities, space technology is going to be a huge benefit for the country. Okay, recently, I think that was Tuesday, I was in Malacanang I was part of the team of AMIA, or the Adaptation and Mitigation in Agriculture, and ni-launch yung National Color-Coded Map for Agriculture. So basically what that map says is if you know any, you would know any part of the Philippines kung ano yung pinakamagandang halaman or pinakamagandang tanim na pwede mong ilagay. Okay, so kung lagay mo lang kung anong town ka or anong barangay, then malalaman mo kung ano yung most suitable crop na pwede mong patubuin. And I got to talk to some of the people there na sabi nila na malaking bagay talaga pag nagkaroon na tayo ng our own satellite imagery that is used for agriculture. Imagine if we can just have an annual, or not annual, but a monthly map, a monthly agricultural map of the Philippines. Let's say from the sky, from space. We're going to have every month we'll show this is the agricultural map of the Philippines. Etong lugar na to merong nakatanim na palay, etong lugar na to merong nakatanim na mga coconut, and in some cases we can even determine anong stage of flowering or a stage of growth na yung halaman. So let's start with rice. Starting with rice alone, knowing how much rice is planted all over the country and how much time do we have for us to harvest, that translates to a large it translates to having our own food security, to our food security. Malalaman na naman natin kung kailangan ba natin mag-import ng bigas or are we self-sufficient enough. Okay, so that's just one example, and hopefully this is one thing that the space agency would do once it gets created, na kasi malaki talaga yung tulong, and not just in agriculture but also in environmental monitoring. Okay, of course another impact for space program is national and regional growth. So by having our own local space industry, magkakaroon tayo ng mas bagong sector ng industriya natin, which can create more jobs, and it can increase the kind of jobs or the quality of jobs that we usually do. Okay, and then the last reason or the last enduring impact is cost avoidances. Okay, so by having capability to survey or to see where the hazards are, then we can there's a huge cost that's going to be avoided. Of course, the lives that's going to be saved, for example, by having flood forecast or accurate flood forecasting. So as in summary, there are various reasons naman talaga why developing countries aim to have a space program. And for us in the Philippines, based on the policy that we have, the proposed national space policy, the nakalagay naman talaga doon na one of the very first reasons is for national development and security. Okay, so I think I mentioned this last week na we want to ensure that the space program can translate to something that is beneficial to Philippine society, makakatulong sa kababayan natin na kaya sa mga ordinaryong mamamayang Pilipino, whether aware sila na yun pala ay dulot ng space technology or hindi sila aware, it doesn't really matter. Mas importante is nakatulong tayo sa pagpapaunlad ng bayan natin. Okay, and that's the first reason, and of course kasama na doon yung seguridad ng bansa natin, or it's not just yung territorial security natin, but also economic security, human security, environmental security, and food security. Okay, and the second is yung para for disaster management and hazard management and climate research, kasi malaking bagay na meron tayong capability na ma-assess kung saan yung mga hazards natin. So in terms of having our own astronaut, kasi yun yung usual na tanong di ba? Pag nagkaroon ng space program, ano yan? Sige, pupunta sa Mars, pupunta tayo sa Moon. Okay? Hindi po ganoon. Hindi ganoon yung nakaprograma para sa Pilipinas. Siguro sometime in the future we'll explore that, na having our own Filipino astronaut, the very first Filipino astronaut. Okay? Wow, malaking I know a lot of people who be willing to undergo the training or undergo the test para maging isang astronaut na interesado sila sa maging astronaut. Okay. Pero kasi we've seen instances in the past, not with Philippines, pero with other countries na nagpadala sila ng astronaut in space. Pero after some time, hindi siya masyadong na-translate into benefit to society. So ngayon, nakikriticize sila ngayon na bakit tayo nag-spend ng $20 million para magpadala ng isang astronaut or something like that. So we want to avoid that. Siguro in probably 5 years down the line, we'll start exploring again. Hopefully, we'll start exploring having our own Filipino astronaut. Para naman sabi nga namin sa program sa NSDP, there's no other career in science that's going to have the same public recognition and prestige in the same manner as Manny Pacquiao or Chris Aquino, other than an astronaut. Kasi even for us na nag-work sa space field, starstruck pa rin kami pag nakakita kami ng astronaut. Okay? So I remember one time I was having lunch, tapos katabi ko nagulat ako sa kabilang table para si Buzz Aldrin, who was the second man to walk on the moon. Parang wow, okay. So yun. So hopefully in the future we'll venture into that. Pero right now we want to focus on applications and services that can benefit Philippine society, especially yung mga marginalized sector or yung mga nasa remote areas natin. By providing communications capability, ma-address sila or magkakaroon sila ng connectivity towards the rest of the country. Okay, I'll just look at some of the comments kasi comments were streaming eh. Okay. Oh, makikita rin daw gaano ka-active sa mining. That's true. Although medyo right now medyo controversial yung mining. I won't say much about that muna because I know some people are working on that aspect. Okay. Mahirap na. Hindi naman. Okay. So, if you have questions, just post them and I'll try to answer them as much as possible. So, yun. So, having a space program, it's, as I said, it's no longer the realm of advanced countries. Even developing countries or small countries like the Philippines are venturing into this. In fact, medyo huli na nga tayo. Pero, it's something that is needed at this day and age. Okay? So, ngayon, it's more about social benefit to humanity, and also making sure that everyone in the space community is kumbaga friends with each other. Okay? Hindi tayo magkakaaway. Okay? Kasi malaking kaguluhan 'yon pag nag-away-away tayo when it comes to space. Okay? There are some countries right now na nag-explore naman kumbaga more advanced, like asteroid mining. Okay, pero may mga legal issues pa kasi when it comes to that. Hindi siya ganong kadali, kasi may economic implications yon, not just for the country that's doing the mining itself, but also to the other countries na pwedeng maapektuhan. Like for example, if we see an asteroid na mataas yung or maraming nickel, okay, and suddenly minamine yun, may economic impact yun sa largest nickel producing country in the world, which is the Philippines, diba? So suddenly the market will be flooded with a very hindi naman cheap, but a lot of kumbaga tataas yung supply. So by law of supply and demand, maapektuhan yung ekonomiya natin. Okay? So may mga ganong legal issues na sinesettle ngayon. That's why space law is a very important field. Although dito sa atin sa Pilipinas wala tayong masyadong space lawyers. Okay? So hopefully if there are lawyers who are watching, please look into studying or into specializing in space law. Kasi kailangan talaga natin yung space law. Okay. So okay, 30 minutes na pala. Daldal ko talaga. Okay. Sorry pag-usapang space kasi sometimes kailangan akong pigilan para Otherwise, I would go on rambling the whole night. Pero I'll try to keep this below 30 minutes. Pero apparently, I failed. Okay. Just wait a minute. I'll just try to pull up the next part of the ano. Okay. Si Arvin Valderrama, nagtanong siya, kaninong bansa ang satellite na ginagamit natin for GPS-based services. Okay. Ang mas general na term talaga is uh, Global Navigation Satellite System or GNSS. Okay. And kumbaga, yung GPS, you can think of parang ano lang yan, parang sa gamot. Okay, 'di ba? If may sakit ka ng ulo, gusto mong uminom ng gamot na pantanggal doon, usually ang term natin biogesic, 'di ba? But biogesic is a brand name. In the same manner, GPS is a brand name because this is the network or the positioning satellites of US, okay? The generic name, which is sa gamot, paracetamol, sa ano naman sa satellites or positioning satellites, yun yung GNSS. So GNSS is the generic name, GPS is the brand name, okay? And there are other kinds of navigation or positioning satellites. Merong GLONASS, which is a Russian system. Merong QZSS, which is a Japanese system. There's BeiDou, which is a Chinese system. Galileo from the European, and even India may sarili na rin silang positioning satellites. Okay. So yun. So GPS, if you're using GPS, you're using US system, which is the most extensive rin naman. Si Adrian Douglas ko, studying hi, I'm from Cebu, studying aerospace engineering. So our program deals more on astronautical engineering, pero a lot of people say it's impractical. Okay, medyo naputol lang. Okay. What were the insights for future engineers? Okay. That's true. In our country right now, mostly ang more on aeronautical engineering yung focus, okay, ng mga ano. Wala pa tayong aerospace engineering talaga in the real sense of the word of aerospace engineering. Pero that's something that we're trying to address because we know hindi lang kasi it's not just a matter of having the curriculum and the expertise. There are also some regulatory issues with PRC, okay, and so on. Kasi wala naman tayong board exam for aerospace engineering. We have board exam for aeronautical engineering. Okay, but in the future, as we develop our own space program and our own space agency, we would need a lot of more people trained in aerospace engineering in the real sense of the word na aerospace engineering. Okay. Si Val Lipas, sir, maganda bang launch site ang Pilipinas? In a way, yes. Okay. This is something that we've done some research a couple of I think a year or two ago. We've identified where we would have our launch site if ever, okay, that's a big if. Kasi we have the whole Pacific Ocean in the eastern side kasi we launch towards the east. Most rockets are launched towards the east to take advantage of the rotation of the Earth. Okay, kumbaga parang we use the Earth to catapult or to slingshot the rocket, which translates to fuel savings. Okay, mas nakakatipid ng fuel, tapos mas mabigat yung rock or yung payload or yung satellite na pwedeng dalhin. And the closer you are to the equator, the greater the speed na ini-impart ng Earth towards the rocket. Okay, so tayo, we're very close to the equator. We have the whole Pacific Ocean on the eastern side. So walang masyadong babagsakan siguro. Babagsakan pagdating doon, yung mga boosters and so on. So which makes the Philippines a very good launch site talaga. Okay, I'll talk more about that probably in a future episode of Space P. Kasi medyo mahabang discussion din yan. Maraming factors ang kailangan i-consider. I know si Lance Lagman I'm trying to show him ano ba yung mga considerations dapat sa pagkakaroon launch site. And he recently posted an article na explaining the mathematics. You just go through the GMA News website to show it. Medyo math intensive lang, but It's fairly easy to understand. Okay. Okay. Now, so I think before I close this episode of Space Peak, i-open ko lang din yung Asian Try Zero G program or Try Zero G experiment. So this is an open call for proposals coming from the Kibo ABC or the Asian Benefit for Collaboration. So this is a program which aims to increase the utilization of the Kibo module on board the International Space Station. And right now, there's a call to propose experiments related to try zero G or zero gravity. So if you want to propose experiments, this is open actually to everyone. Dati, there were proposals, I think a couple of years ago, na coming from high school students, na very simple experiments that you can do in space. Okay, so the astronaut or the astronaut will conduct the experiment in space. Okay, so for this year, it's astronaut Norishige Kanai of the Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency who's going to perform the selected proposals aboard the ISS Kibo module. And this year, medyo iba or medyo nag-iba ng mechanics compared to previous Tri-Zero G events or Tri-Zero G calls. Ngayon, meron ng dalawang category. So, there's category 1, which is mainly for students under 18 years old. So, that means senior high school students, junior high school students, or even elementary students can propose any experiment that can be done on board the ISS. Okay? So, make sure lang na simple and you use most of the equipment or most of the materials available on the ISS. There's a sandali, okay? There's a whole lot of list of materials available, okay? Which you can view, you can see online sa open call. And then there's category 2 for young scientists and engineers, usually college students or anyone below 27 years old, okay? So dito naman you'll be asked to defend an idea on how you would conduct the zero gravity experiment, and if it's fairly simple enough, they'll try to see or we'll try to see if we can do this. The important thing dito is this has to be vetted by the host institution or the Kibo affiliated institution in the home country. Okay, so dito sa Pilipinas, the Kibo affiliated institution is the DOST Science Education Institute. Okay, so when you are going to submit, make sure you submit it. You send your proposals. Okay, before that, you just go to the website of the DOST, which is of the Science Education Institute. It's sei.dost.gov.ph, and you can see there ano yung mechanics on how to submit or ano yung mga guidelines. Okay, you'll see the link or to the guidelines. Or if you're of course if you're watching this, you're on Facebook. Just go to the Facebook page of World Space Week Philippines. There's a video there that explains what are the mechanics o ano ba yung mga kailangan yung isubmit or paano yung mga pwede nyong isubmit. Okay. It seems medyo nagka-problema. I don't know, biglang nag-hang yung Facebook app ko, nag-restart siya. So, I don't know, hopefully na-save yung video. Otherwise, sayang naman yung pinagdadaldal ko dito. Okay. So, yun. Just in closing, going back to the Tri-Zero G. So, the deadline for submission is on April 7, 2017. And submit your proposals to APRSAF23SEI gmail.com. Again, that's APRSAF23SEI@gmail.com. Okay? And submit it before April 7, 2017. Kasi i-vet pa yan or i-screen pa yan ng SEI or the Philippine Space Agency. Philippine Space Science Education Program. Okay? So, I guess that's it. Hopefully, na-save yung video. I'll check later. Medyo nagkaroon ng problema. Nakapatong lang kasi yung cellphone sa table, and all of a sudden bigla lang nag-restart yung FB app. Okay, so hopefully na save, but I'll check later. If not, I'll try to do try if wala siyang record on sa web or sa Facebook, I'll try to do it again probably tomorrow if ano. So again, thank you for viewing, or thank you for watching Space Peak PH. So hopefully you learned something about a lot about why we do our own space programs. Okay, and also for the Asian Tri-Zero-G experiment. So again, see you until next week. Bye bye.